Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with David Fradin, our mastermind behind Spice Catalyst. That's right. He's the president and owner of SpiceCatalyst.com, training and consulting on services and products. And he's helping so many with his 5 keys to product success. And again, he's joined us today. We're going to recap a little bit about what we spoke last time and then continue down the conversation and continue to help all you out there with product marketing strategies. So welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Is there anything you want to say to our listeners before we start today? Give us a little insight to who you are and what you do. I mean, that's a whole show, but we could do an abridged version.
We did that. We did that in the first episode.
Yes.
The 4th episode. So my background includes product management at Hewlett Packard and Apple, and general management at Apple, running the Apple III business unit.
And he's an author, and he's, like I'm saying, we need the abridged version. You are just a mastermind of so many and so many things. So we're glad you're back here. And I know you wanted to kind of recap a little for last week. That was the product market strategy, right? And we're going to continue along that lines today into the 31st. So technology insights, perfect storm, and we'll get to that in just a sec. So back us up a sec. Remind us what product market strategy is and what we've been talking about.
Well, it's one of the 5 keys to product success, and about 35% of new products every year fail in the marketplace, resulting in a loss of over $1 trillion. So we started out with the mnemonic SPICE, which is our company name, Spice Catalyst, and the S stands for product market strategy, P stands for repeatable process, I stands for having the information necessary to make informed decisions, C stands for understanding your customer, and E involves having the 130 competencies or skill sets within your organization for product success. So then the second through this episode, we've been drilling down into some of the most important of the 32 components of the product market strategy. And we covered last week personas, which is the way you define who your target customer is. We also talked about competitive and market research and how you do that. And then we got into 16 major, what we call perfect storm trends that are occurring in society now, which will drive the success or failure of current products and services, and also drive the creation of new products and services. So we talked about climate change, autonomous vehicles, food innovations, pandemics, digital twins, big data, augmented and virtual reality, gene splicing, 3D printing, and then we're going to cover the last 7, starting with artificial intelligence. Billions of dollars are now being spent on artificial intelligence development. I use a little program called Perplexity, where if I have a question, instead of Googling Google to ask a question, and then sorting my way through multiple responses from Google to find the right one, I use Perplexity, which goes through not only Google, but several other search engines, summarizes them, and gives me links to the source material. So that if it's that way, I can tell whether or not they're quoting reputable information sources and giving me an answer to my question. I tried it out with my name, and it came back and said that I'm a prominent influencer in the area of product management. That I liked. And then I also Googled the former Apple II product manager, and he came back and said he went to MIT. He doesn't have a college degree. It said he worked at a couple of companies that he never worked at. So obviously, the Bing search engine, or Bing artificial intelligence from Microsoft, this would be about 6 months ago, is not very accurate. And one of the scary things about artificial intelligence is that Meta is using that to train their artificial intelligence on the stuff that we post on Facebook and the stuff that we post on another one of their properties called Instagram. So that will add new meaning to that term, garbage in, garbage out. The next issue up is changing birth rates and the aging population. Japan, for example, doesn't have enough young people to take care of their growing overpopulation. There's a whole squeeze generation that are taking care of children at home, plus their elderly parents. So all sorts of new products and services will begin to pop up there. The next one is the digital transformation, and that is as we move from mechanical or chemical ways of doing things into electronic ways of doing things. There are things that can be transformed digitally and done more efficiently and effectively. And we'll talk more about that next week. Then there's the Internet of Things, marketing automation, innovations in technology and platforms. In fact, there's so much innovation going on there in the artificial intelligence area. The 3 Mile nuclear plant is going to be reopened just to power a data center because those things take so much electricity. And lastly, robotics, which might lead back into helping us out in with the aging population.
Got it. Well, thank you for joining us and for being here. And I know there's so much with AI that I don't even understand people are talking about, but it's really taken over in a big way. And it's been great, right, in some aspects. But then it was in the news a few weeks ago. AI, like if you're doing, it was, what was the search on? Someone did a search and asked Google, whatever it was, and the AI came up with the wrong answer. It was to harm someone instead of to do something wrong. So they realized there's some glitches with this AI stuff, right? But it really
Yeah,
is taking over. And you mentioned now AI is training AI. It's that
yeah,
advanced.
yeah. The AI results will be based entirely upon what it's trained on. So if it's trained on garbage, like what's a lot of the posts on Facebook, it's going
Mhm.
to spurt out garbage later. AI is being used by X, or formerly Twitter, and now the negative posts and the MAGA posts are trending twice as much as other posts, so that you can no longer rely upon it as a source of news or information.
Got it. Well, thank you. And let's continue. We're talking about those technology insights, the product positioning, what's available, total availability on the market, and the penetration strategies. So let's continue.
Well, the next task to do in your product, as you write your product market strategy, is what we call product positioning.
Hmm.
And it's been described as a position in your mind. So you stake it out in terms of those things that your customer finds most important. So when you
Okay.
do your market research, you find out what things are really important to them, and then you try to take a position in the marketplace which emphasizes your ability to deliver on those things that they feel are most important. Positioning then later leads into the promise of the company or the promise of the product, which we
Hmm.
call branding. And a lot
Okay.
of people run around talking about branding, but it's preceded by figuring out your product position. For
Oh,
example, back at least until the mid or late 2000s, 2 decades ago, Microsoft was well known for having software that was very difficult to use. For example, in order to stop a Windows machine, you press on the start button, which make no sense whatsoever. You open up, say, Excel, and you got a deadline to deliver some spreadsheet to your boss, and Microsoft is so smart, they decide to update their software while you've got a deadline without asking you first, would you like your software updated or should I do it later, like Apple does. So that's what caused me to say that the brand, which is sometimes epitomized in the tagline that a company would use, that the tagline for Microsoft should be helping more people feel more stupid than any other company in the world.
yeah.
And then the contrast to that, through those days and even continuing today, is the Apple brand, and that is it just works. You just use it and it just works. So that's where product positioning comes in, is to help define for the customer in their mind those things that they find to be most important.
Got it. And then from there, you talk about the total available market, right?
Yeah, the market is the overall place where people go to buy things, like
Okay.
grocery stores. But
Isn't it
there's
all online now?
it could be online or physically.
Yeah.
And So you may not be able to reach all of those grocery stores with your product. So your total available market might be grocery stores with sales over $1 million a month or something like that. So what you're essentially doing is rolling up the personas that you've identified, the overall market, and you've segmented your market into common segments. And that results in identifying the total available market, which helps you then pick the target that you're going to go after with your product and with your marketing.
Got it. And also from here, after, you do all this marketing, the branding behind it all, and, what's the roll up all about? Because you got to figure out, right, who can be reached. The target audience, I would say, is kind of how you do it. And how do you have market strategy meetings? How do you find that niche, that market for whatever product it is that you're trying to sell?
Well, you do a combination of market and competitive research, and then you
Okay.
have with the different departments in your company, your marketing department, your PR department, your sales department, your customer service and support department, just about everybody except manufacturing, because they don't really look into those things. And you also need to talk to your engineers. For example, when I took over the Apple III product line, the marketing people, most of them were MBAs from like Harvard and Stanford and MIT, were confused as to what the product is and who the product is for. But I went downstairs to the engineering department and talked to Jeff Raskin, who was one of the chief architects for the Apple III, and he was also the chief architect for the Macintosh. Until Steve Jobs took over the product line and asked him to go do something else. And I said, Jeff, who did you make this computer for? And he described exactly what the target market was. And that
Wow.
was offices and small and medium businesses, even though the concept of small and medium businesses for a marketplace was not yet defined until maybe 10 years later by the market research firms. But he knew exactly who it was focused on. And that gave me the visibility as to who I should be targeting with the product in terms of the marketing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Also, let's remind everyone how we can contact you. David Fradin is here from Spice Catalyst. That's SPICECATALYST.com. Go right there to the website, or do you have a phone number you want them to reach out to you at?
They could find my phone number on my website and also my email address, and they can connect with me on LinkedIn.
And don't
And if
forget the amount of workshops he has, courses, books, very modest, but there's a lot that we'll ask you about at the end. But we want people to go to the website, of course, and check you out and purchase some of the books. It's so helpful and insightful. What is your latest book, by the way? What is the title of that one?
building insanely great products, organizing and managing insanely great products, and then a little textbook of 796 pages long, which is Successful Product Design and Management Toolkit. And it's used in executive MBA courses in a couple of prominent universities in India right now. And probably several thousand people have gone through this 6 or 7 month course using my book as their textbook.
Impressive. All right. What about now penetrating the market? Let's talk about that.
Well, first thing you got to decide in terms of penetrating the market is, what is your objective? Is it you want to go after market share? Do you want to go after profits? Do you want to go after return on investment? So you have to have that clearly defined and have everybody agree with that. Because, for example, if you're going after market share, you might as well just give your product away for free and you get a very large, close to 100% of the market, but you won't make much money. But if you go out there just for profit, like Apple's focus on their terms of their products is on profitability, while Samsung, for example, focuses on market share. And that's why the Samsung Android phones are less expensive generally than the Apple phones. So then you have to decide when the timing as to when you start doing it. Back in the 2003, I was given credit for inventing advertising on cell phones by RCN magazine, which covered the telecommunications industry at the time. But I went and gave a presentation to angel investors up in Napa County, and in the audience was a guy that started the Whole Earth catalog many years earlier in Berkeley. He was a leading environmentalist. And he stood up and he says, I don't want advertising on my cell phone. And I'm sitting there and I bit my tongue because it's not up to him to decide whether or not he wants advertising. It's going to be up to the manufacturers of the phones and the people that write software for the phones, whether or not they're going to do embedded advertising, just like you see ads embedded in magazines and in websites and in newspapers and on the radio and so forth. He can't make that type of decision. Well, it turned out the phones that were shipped at that time were not powerful enough to handle the graphics and the advertising that I had envisioned for the marketplace. So I went out of business about a year before the iPhone came out, which made cell phone advertising practical and profitable. And the last time I checked was a few years ago. Cell phone advertising is now over a $15 billion a year business
Wow.
where these are spending money on ads on cell phones. But this fellow, as a visionary back in 2003, didn't think anybody should have it or want it or it should be done. So timing is critical. And the way you know that your market has opened up is when you have found 15 unmet needs, as described by a company called Synergym in San Francisco.
Okay.
Find those 15 unmet needs, then your chances of having a successful product is very good. If you go out there early, like I did with cell phone advertising, there was no unmet need that anyone,
Mm-hmm.
so I failed. But by the time the iPhone came around and a few years
Ah,
later, the unmet needs were identified and it was fulfilled by cell phone advertising. And that's how you know. And then when you have so much competition on all of those unmet needs, that's when you convert yourself to what the Boston Consulting Group calls a cash cow. And you stop spending money on development and just spend money on marketing to try to get as much cash out of that product line or that service as you possibly can before you discontinue it.
got it. Thank you. All right. And also moving on to talk more about your, we're talking product market strategy if you are tuning in here. And we're going to talk more now about basically the distribution of it, right? Are we there yet? We still have to finish a little more on the penetration or back to distribution.
So we could go on to distribution. That becomes a key thing you have to identify with your persona research where your customer lives. And where your customer goes to buy. So if they buy things on Amazon versus their local bookstore, then you got to figure out a way to get your product or service on Amazon as opposed to trying to find some way to sell it to the local bookstore. So you have different channels, you have different partners, you can have different affiliates. For example, if you want to start a business, you could focus it around a certain area, like maybe beauty products. You can become an affiliate of Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It links to beauty products that you want to sell that you stick on your website. So when anybody goes to your website and clicks on a beauty product, they're taken over to Amazon. A little tag is in that link, and you're able to make a little commission off the sale of that product as an affiliate. Other examples of affiliates is the National Association for retired people. They sell car and health and automobile and home insurance and that type of thing. So they've teamed up with insurance companies that offer those types of things, and they make a commission off the sale of those additional products. Then you can use distributors. A distributor is an entity that takes title to the product and then turns around and sells it to the retail stores.
Okay.
Do like Apple did when it started, use manufacturers rep firms, and they're just a sales force. You could have stores, both brick and mortar and also online stores. There is also things called a value-added reseller, which will take your product and add some more value to it and then sell it as it is embedded in some other product. And then there are systems integrators that will integrate products into their products. Boeing, for example, is a big systems integrator. And lastly, there's the original equipment manufacturer or OEM.
Ah,
You build the thing and you sell it to somebody else and they put their name on it. You also need to take into account the importance of consultants and influencers, and you need to let them know about your product and service because they are the ones that are consulting with your target customers, and they can then recommend your product for purchase. And likewise, industry groups and associations that you could affiliate with. Like California, there's a solar power association of all the solar power installers.
Hmm.
So you can reach customers through those types of organizations. And then lastly is direct sales. But you got to keep in mind the cost of putting a salesperson on the street to sell your product is very, very high. So you need to have a pretty profitable product so you can pay a commission and pay
Yeah.
the salary and the travel costs, and also be able to make a profit.
All right. And then, wow, we're done well with for today as far as, what we're supposed to cover, but there's still more to talk about with the work you're doing. And for those out there who are just tuning in, we're urging you to go to spicecatalyst.com. That's David's website. Do you want to talk about, how people can get this type of training and what it's like? Is it one-on-one? Is it through workshops? Could you share a little bit of how you're working with businesses and individuals here?
Yeah, we offer direct workshops where we'll come out to your place and deliver the class. The class can last anywhere from 1 day to 3 days, depending upon the topic. And it covers in detail all of the things that we're talking about in this podcast, the previous ones and the ones coming up in terms of the product market strategy, repeatable processes,
Mm-hmm.
getting information, understanding your customer, innovation, design thinking, and providing training in all of those 130 skill sets you need for customer success.
Wow.
And it's also available on demand through Udemy, and links to those courses are available off the Spice Catalyst website. And then, especially since COVID, we can deliver it over the internet to a group of people.
Got it. And as far as all the work that you've done, clearly you've done so much, and you're here still helping people. What's next for you? I mean, is it another book? Is it another? Do you get to relax and take some time off, like with Maui behind you?
Yeah, I do that, and I've just finished up another book. It's in a different genre of biography and humor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Letters from My Jaime. My dad's name was Hyman, and he sometimes went by the nickname of Jaime. And a cousin of mine somehow got a hold of letters that he had written home during World War II, which are quite funny. So it's a little bit of history going from where my grandfather immigrated from Ukraine in 1914 all the way through the 1970s. In the words of my father, who was a very good writer, was a good humorous writer, but he became a plumber. So he's always wanted to be published. So I'm publishing his letters called Letters from My Jaime. And then my last book before I quit is called Trippin'. It's Life's Little Laughs and Unauthorized Autobiography.
Well, we are excited that you're here joining us. It's an honor to have you here on this podcast. And speaking of podcasts, don't you have your own as well?
Yeah, I have a product success issues, and which is a 10-part series where I interview vice presidents of product management at major
Mm-hmm.
corporations like Pitney Bowes and others around the world. And you can find links to those podcasts on my website also.
Amazing. Well, we're excited that you're here joining us and excited to have you back. We're on board for another episode. That's next week, November 7th, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that is. All right. And we're going to continue down the journey in our line here of you helping people here with product success. And that's what it's all about. So we appreciate your time here and grateful that you're joining us. So spicecatalyst.com. How else can we reach out to you?
You can go to my website, find all my contact information. And in fact, if people that are watching this want me to answer some questions, feel free to send me the questions at Dave@spicecatalyst.com. And the last episode or two of this 10-part series we'll answer those questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You have a fantastic day. Pleasure having you here and enjoy the rest of the day. What's the temperature where you are in California?
It's chilly. It's 62 degrees.
Oh my goodness. I thought I was like comparing to you. Before we started the show, I told Dave it's like 80 degrees here in New York today, which is great for the trick-or-treaters, but I still thought you were hotter than us. All right, well, it's not going to be much longer, so we'll enjoy it while we can, and we'll switch back to getting that chillier fall weather soon. But thanks for sending over some heat. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a great day, David. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.